Hello everyone, and welcome to what I hope will be the first in a series of videos offering up some sound file comparisons of various vinyl LP pressings of some of the most popular and sought after albums and bands that are out there in the vinyl collecting world. This first video is looking at the Led Zeppelin IV album, which was their biggest selling album. And so consequently there are many pressings from different countries over a long period of time. I don't claim to have all of them, of course, but I have what I hope will be a good cross-section of pressings which run the gamut from the most common and lowest cost available in pretty much any typical record store to some of the more expensive and sought after pressings. And hopefully these will show you why they're more expensive, why they're more sought after, and to decide if you're looking at buying one of the albums whether the differences in sound quality are worth the extra money. Just a word about the sound files which come later in the video. Each one will have a graphic detailing which pressing it is, so you don't need to make a note of the albums that we're looking at here. I have tried to equalize the volume of each file so you don't have to make any changes as you're listening, so consequently the files don't take into account the different hotness of pressings, but if memory serves, there wasn't too much of a difference, probably somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 dB between the quietest and the loudest of the pressings. So to get straight to it, the first of the vinyl pressings that you're going to hear is the very common 2014 reissue mastered by the man himself, Jimmy Page. These are quite common, still available. They have the reputation of being good, solid pressings, high quality, quiet vinyl. Not perhaps best for sound quality, but still very good. I suspect it may be because the master tapes of this album are now actually coming up to 50 years old. This will be the 50th anniversary in 2021. So perhaps the original tapes aren't in quite the condition that they were originally, and whilst you can compensate for that somewhat in the mastering, the basic problem is if it isn't there on the tape anymore, then it's a little difficult to recreate it now. But that's the first one because it's very common and generally pretty well regarded. The second pressing that I have is a UK first on the Orange and Plum Atlantic label. This has the stampers A3 and B3. As you can see on there, that's a Porky Pecco pressing, which means it was mastered by George Peckham, a very highly regarded mastering engineer. I've put this in because this would be one of the most sought after pressings, and many people would tell you that this is the standard by which other pressings would be judged by, but hopefully you'll be able to hear that for yourself. The third pressing that I have is a UK third. It's from 1976. It's an A2B2 stamper. The mastering engineer in the Dead Wax is someone called Allen, A-L-L-E-N. I'm not sure who that is. I've tried to research it. It may be Alan Zentz. He was an American mastering engineer, and I don't know if he would be involved in a UK kind of fairly low significance repress in the mid-70s, but possibly. Anyway, the good sign is that if a mastering engineer has put his imprint in the Dead Wax and has been proud enough of the work to do that for the record books, then it probably means that you can expect the mastering to be of a reasonably good quality. The next one is one of the most sought after. It's the 200 gram Quiex vinyl classic records pressing, mastered by Bernie Grundman in 2000. Highly regarded, highly sought after, very good mastering, high quality vinyl, quiet pressing. You can still get those, although they're probably not cheap. You can still get some sealed pressings of it, but again, not cheap. I wish I could have had the 45 RPM box set from Classic Records, but seeing as they go for in the region of $7,500 to $8,000 now, if you can find one, then I'm probably going to have to wait to win the lottery before I get one of those to listen to. Next on the list is a 1992 final vinyl Japanese pressing. These were all analog. They have the reputation of having very high quality vinyl, very quiet, but considered to be a little bright and perhaps a little bass-light. I would tend to agree with the brightness, but not so much the bass. I think they're reasonably good for that. They are a little digital sounding, and that has caused some suspicion amongst record collectors that they're digitally sourced, but it seems to be a matter of record that they are analog right throughout the mastering chain. So taking them at their word, I have that, which I think is a very good pressing. Next is what I've called here a US second. This isn't really a second pressing as such, but it does have the second catalog number, which is the 5-digit SD19129. The good thing about these is they are quite common and normally not very expensive, and if you can find one, some of these pressings were mastered again by George Peckham. This particular copy I have only has one side, which is the second, which is where the sound file comes from, and that is in the dead wax a Pecco Duck, which is one of the sign-ins that George Peckham used. So whilst you can expect the mastering to be very good, the quality of the vinyl is probably lacking. By the mid to late 70s. We have the oil crisis, and they're starting to put a lot more recycled vinyl into their mixtures, which generally causes more surface noise and crackles and pops and so on. But as I say, at least the mastering's good, and if you can find one, you're likely to be able to pick one up for relatively insignificant amounts of money. And then lastly, I have what I've called here a US first. Again, this isn't actually a US first, but it is the first catalog number, the SD7208. This is an RCA club pressing, which don't have a good reputation at all, although it did come from the specialty record pressing plant, which is okay. I've put this in because this would be one of the most common and lowest cost, even excellent and near mint condition pressings of this particular album. So it will give you a good indication of what, at least in theory and by reputation, is a range from the lowest to the highest in terms of both sound, mastering, and vinyl quality of the various different pressings. I do have what I believe is a genuine first issue US pressing. It's got a couple of promo stickers on it, which ties in with what you would expect from that particular pressing, but it's sealed, and I didn't really want to open it for this, maybe on another time. I also have a sealed 180 gram classic vinyl pressing, which has the reputation of being even better than the 200 gram, but that again, because it's sealed, I haven't opened it, although it's hard to imagine it's going to be that much better than the 200 gram copy, seeing as it's the same mastering engineer and the same, I believe, the same stampers, but certainly the same mastering engineer in Bernie Grundman. Just as a tip, after you've listened to the sound files, I find if you jump quickly between the various files, it gives you a clearer indication of the sound differences between the two, rather than just listening through each of them in sequence. But that's something you can try if you don't detect that much difference between each of the sound files. Anyway, I hope you enjoy listening to these, and you get some useful information if you're considering buying a pressing of this album, particularly if if you're looking at any of the expensive ones. I'd welcome any comments you have with regard to the differences that you heard, and any ranking would be good to hear as well. And also any suggestions you might have as to other albums that you would like me to put some sound files up. I have substantial numbers of pressings of obviously Led Zeppelin, but Beatles, Pink Floyd, Jethro Tull, and many other classic rock acts. So any suggestions you have would be welcome, and I hope you enjoy the listening.